How are you doing? I have been so excited all day because there is this thing that we have been doing all throughout this week, and you must be familiar with it. It's all about like identity shifting and the impact that has on your business. I've just tried to go live, but there was some glitch and I couldn't access that, so I'm going to restart it all over again. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to be talking about, like, basically we are demystifying a lot of these things that we have absolutely no idea about, and then we are just like, oh my god, that's too woo woo. But in reality, it's just very simple. It's just things that you're doing. It's all of that mindset work that you have been doing. It's all of those oh my god, like I have this weird thing with my throat today. So it's all of those things, but how are we integrating it into our day? Like there's this thing that I always talk about. It's, you can't just meditate 10 minutes a day and expect like the rest, if like the rest of your day is like filled with all of these negative emotions, if it's filled with you having this very wrongful image of yourself, and then you're meditating for 10 minutes, it's not going to do much for you, right? And I really talk about this so much. Hey, how are you? Oh my god, I'm so glad as well. Let me know if you have any questions, drop them down below. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to raise your frequency. How do we say? Okay, 1 second. Frequency to magnetize. All right, magnetize bug money, it seems. Big money. Awesome. Let me just pin this comment. Okay, so that's like the conversation that we're going to be having today. And like in the live that got disrupted, I was essentially talking about how we sometimes need to like really face those things. We really need to like look at our shadow aspects. Like this is something that I haven't, like it's kind of difficult for me to talk about because I'm in the phase of doing it. It's when you actually integrate your shadow aspects, right? Like I don't want to make it like very like, oh my god, what does that even mean? Like I know people who are in the mindset space, you get this, but for people who are very new to this, I would say like we all have aspects of ourselves that we perceive are wrong, right? Maybe it could be like, for me it was the aspect of being too ambitious. Like the place that I was coming from, that wasn't a very rightful place, but it's important for us to acknowledge these things. Like another one for me was like really, oh my god, this is so hard to talk about, but yeah, like I felt the moment like I needed to perform in order to have the attention and importance on me all the time. Like if I didn't have the attention of everyone around in the room, I felt like I wouldn't be loved. Like I had that need, right? So it's really important for us to understand these aspects of ourselves. Oh my god, hi Ayaz, how are you? Welcome. Okay, so when I first understood that aspect of myself, like I had to like really confront myself and embrace that side, right? The other one that I had to do very, like I think last month, was this fear that what if, you know, nothing happens of my business. Like so many of us ambitious women have that. Like I'm putting in so much effort, like I'm doing everything I can for my business. What if nothing comes out of it? What if, you know, this thing dies out? And what if I'm never able to do anything in my life? Like we have that thing so powerfully strong, and I had that, and I was confronting that with one of my coaches as well. And in the session I couldn't get it out because, you know how we are, we have these walls put up. But before I was going to bed after the session, I sat down with myself and I was like, I have to face this. And I had to like literally like ask myself, what would happen if 40 years from now, 30 years from now, nothing comes out of my business? Like I actually didn't achieve my goals. Like I didn't make millions. I didn't have a successful business. I wasn't able to create the impact that I wanted to create. What would happen as a result of that? And then I had this image, this aspect of myself that I didn't want to face, right? She came up like this old version, like this very old clumsy lady, and she was literally trying to gain attention and trying to gain like attention from everyone, but she was ignored, and she had this very desperate energy around. I didn't even want to face her, right? it's so important to exactly release those beliefs. And exactly, and I feel like the moment I sat down and I had that session with myself, and I embraced that old lady that I considered was unworthy, or I considered was a failure, right? Like, I had to literally have a conversation with her and embrace that aspect of myself, like, right? And that just freed me so much, because I understood that no matter what happens in my life, no matter what comes out of my life, I would still turn out amazing, right? Like, even if nothing happened in the materialistic sense, I will still have this wisdom, I will still have this mind, I would still have this conviction, I would still be able to impact people's life, even if on a on like a businessy world it might not seem like that, or it might not seem this way, or I mean, I will never be in a position of not being able to create impact. Maybe the impact will look very different. Maybe I will be that wise old lady of the community that people come to advise for, right? Like, all of these things are so possible. Like, there are so many different things that would happen. Maybe I will just end up writing some amazing books, or maybe I will, as I said, like that, community old lady that everyone comes to advise for, or people look up to, and all those things. Like, there's so many different things that can happen. Oh my god, like, the chat is going crazy today. This time seems good. Okay, this sounds really morbid, but it really helps me when I think those negative thoughts. I just say, one day I won't be able to in the world anymore, neither will my business, and it's okay. Exactly. Like, the pleasure of just being a fully expressed version of yourself is enough, right? Like, we have put so much pressure on ourselves, like, every day. Like, even when I'm having a conversation with my client, she just used to operate from so much like this stuck energy and this fear of, like, what if doesn't turn out, what if nothing happens, and all of that. When we actually worked on releasing that pressure, we had like such content gems that came out. Like, there was so much underneath all of that when we just enjoy the process of being a fully expressed version of yourself, right? You peel back the layers and found out that the worst case scenario was exactly like that. Ayati, like, you got it so well. That itself, like, made it like, I was just like, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm okay with that, like, with the worst case scenario, right? And I had to, like, really face that, and that has helped me become a lot more vulnerable with my content, a lot more like spontaneous with my content. As I say, like, it doesn't take me like a very long time now to like plan content, which is something that has been happening over months now. But I think when I have changed the way I see myself, right, it has made a huge difference. And I think one of the biggest things that I do with my clients when we are in session as well, that's the first thing we work on. Like, I will just help them realize that you are essentially just a vessel for change. Like, you're just a vessel through which wisdom comes through, lessons comes through. Like, sometimes I'm in a live and I'm just channeling. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to say the next moment. Even if I have like notes and stuff, it just happens automatically. And that's the way, like, I think we got to be doing all of our things in business, in life, right? So that's something that I've really encouraged a lot of my clients to do, which is really introspecting and asking yourself these powerful questions, and asking yourself questions that are uncomfortable, right? But that's something that we need to start doing, to be able to create that level of frequency, to actually elevate yourself to that level of frequency and be like, this is what I want, right? So here are a few things that I think are very, very important for us to think about, to reflect on, right? One thing that I always had was, every time I would feel powerlessness, right? Or every time I felt like extreme fear, or like I was doing something and I was like, why is this, if this is meant for me, why is this so hard? Like, why can't I do this? Like, why is this hard? Why am I experiencing such extreme depths of fear, and why am I going through this? And then when I realized that people who are like us, like, I'm very sensitive, right? Like, I can cry like this. I'm watching an ad and I will cry. I'm watching my brother do something and I'm visualizing like how he was when he was small. I will cry in 2 seconds. Like, I'm like that. I catch on things like that. And I always used to be very embarrassed of that. I used to be like, why am I like this? Why am I not strong enough? Like being vulnerable, being sensitive it's embarrassing, like, we're watching a movie and out of the blue I'm just bawling my eyes out for absolutely no reason. And then I realized, for people who are like us, like people who can experience extreme sadness, extreme vulnerability, and extreme depths of fear, we are also open for extreme exhilaration. We're also open for extreme joy. Like we have, like when you stretch a rubber band, like both ways, you stretch them through like the entire emotional cycle. So when you're open for experiencing that level of fear and that level of joy, you're also experiencing that same level of joy, that same level of happiness and exhilaration, and like this pure state of abundance, right? Like this pure, like I was experiencing that the other day. I felt like my feet were not on the ground. Like that's the level of happiness that I was experiencing. But then I saw like others around me, and for them it was just that makes sense kind of moment. And that's the moment I realized that this is such a power. So when you are in that state where you're like experiencing fear and anxiety, and you're like, I can't do this, and this is difficult, and you're experiencing fear to show up, fear to believe in yourself, fear of failure, like any fear that you have, I just want you to remember that is an even stronger proof that you're meant for this. Like when you're I don't know if I'm able to like encapsulate this as perfectly as I could, but the best I can do it is when you have the emotional capacity to experience such deep levels of pain and fear and despair, hopelessness, powerlessness, you're also open to experiencing all of those extreme moments of pleasure and moments of joy, right? Like just believe in yourself even further. Believe in yourself, like concrete your vision for the future that you have. Like go even deeper with this stuff, right? Like even while I'm saying this, I have this voice back of my mind which is like, what are you talking about? Like no one's getting it. Like people don't understand this stuff. You're not articulating it right. But I know the reason I'm here, the reason I'm doing all of these things is because it's meant for me, right? Like I have envisioned this life for me consistently. I have had, like I used to be in the middle of like a very passionate conversation with someone talking about like my wildest dreams, and I had people walk away. I had people make fun of me to my face when I told them like this is what I want to do. I have had people question me. I have had people like dismiss me, roll their eyes at me, judged me. I've had like literally some of my best friends like mock me and like talk like really bad stuff about me behind my back, because I was the way I was, right? So I need you to believe in yourself. I need you to not need anyone else up, because just think about it. Like how does anyone else have the expertise on you? How can someone be an expert on what's possible for you, what's not possible for you, when they haven't even lived a second in your body, when they haven't lived your life experience? Like no one can be an expert in you more than you. No one can do that. Like you in this present day right now, you're an expert in yourself. You know what you want. You're here. If you feel like you're here for a big mission, you're here for big things in life, that reality is for you. It's available to you, right? So every time you're experiencing that feeling, instead of going down that spiral and like going again and again, instead of just going down the spiral and be like, oh my god, like I'm just not meant for this, and then ghosting your business and not doing anything and feeling like crap for 2 weeks to come, I want you to anchor yourself in that moment and be like, the reason I'm feeling this is because I'm also open to feel joy and happiness and exhilaration and excitement and ecstasy right? Like any emotion that you can think about, like you're also open to that, right? That's the first shift that I want you to do. Because as sensitive, empathetic people who feel like you want love, you want attention, you want people to see you and understand you, you'll often go into those dark places. But the best way for you to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, to be in the frequency of actually receiving abundance, receiving money, receiving success and opportunities. I don't care what you want. You need to be able to regulate yourself and come out of those dark moments with even more power, with even more conviction, right? The next thing that I'm feeling really called to talk about is using these emotions, whether that's a sad emotion. I wouldn't say negative, but like sad emotion, it could be feelings of guilt, shame, embarrassment, jealousy, feeling unworthy, feeling powerless, feeling like all of these negative emotions, anxiety, pure anxiety. I want you to use these emotions. As long as you hit that emotion, I want you to use that emotion as a launching pad. I want you to use it as a bouncing pad to get to the emotion that you want. Like every second, every trigger that you experience in your life is an opportunity for you to raise yourself, is an opportunity for you to actually like elevate yourself and get to that place. You get every trigger. Like these days now when I'm triggered, like, okay, fine, let me just explain to you a little bit better. I have to go, oh my god, absolutely no worries. Can you dumb down raising your, oh my god, yes, that's the reason I have this thing. So raising your frequency basically is we're operating from the middle, which is like, yeah, okay, like you're not too excited, too happy, you're not too sad, you're just living in the middle. That's like a very neutralized normal frequency, right? And then a trigger happens, something unpleasant happens in your life, someone triggers your insecurities, and then immediately you drop to feeling shame, guilt, feeling unworthy, feeling triggered, feeling anxiety. You go low down in that emotional scale. So you're in a lower frequency. And because you're in that lower frequency, you will be a match to experiences that are similar to that. It's like a momentum, right? So, and the negative momentum will always go downhill. It's like someone triggered you, someone told you that, oh my god, like, why are you like this? You shouldn't be doing that. And that made you feel unworthy, right? And then you keep going down that spot. You keep going down. You will attract things in that way. You'll start attracting, someone will cut you off in traffic. Someone will give you a weird message. And then you'll start perceiving things differently. And you'll keep going down and down until you are in that state of shame and guilt, right? So when I'm talking about raising your frequency, I'm talking about shifting yourself from that momentum that's going downwards to a momentum that's going up. Okay, and how do you do that? It's like a whole different thing, but let me just give you like a gist. You can't go from a negative emotion straight to a positive one. You have to bring your frequency back to a neutral one. So you focus on general things, right? You focus on the fact that, oh my god, like, I'm so glad I'm healthy. Oh my god, I'm so glad that, you know, this house is safe and my kids are safe and we're living in a safe country, right? Or something like, oh my god, I'm so glad that, you know, I have like my morning cup of coffee, or I have this thing, which is very neutral, right? I'm so glad that I have functioning able hands. It could be as simple as that. Like, you're slowly bring yourself up and you bring yourself back, right? So every time you're getting triggered, you got to use that negative emotion, whether it's shame, guilt, embarrassment. Especially in business, that happens a lot. The moment someone rejects you, you're in that low frequency. The moment someone like questions why you're doing this, how you're doing this, and then you go back to that, right? So you just have to realize that when you're in that low frequency, at least be aware of it, right? So most of our activities or things that our body does, it happens here, this part of our brain, right? Like, that does everything, regulating your breathing, regulating your heart rate, regulating how your bones function, all of those things that happens automatically. You don't have to think about it, right? Then your midbrain, that is where your automatic responses happens. Someone triggers your insecurity, and based on your flight or fight response, like mine is, I go into full rebel mode. Like, the moment something happens and someone's like, you know what, you shouldn't have done that, or you know this and you know that, I go like full from 0 to 100. Like, that's my thing. I have fight response, or I have like extreme freeze where I'm just like, oh my god, like I can't function. I go like 2 weeks down and I have absolutely no energy for anyone. And that response is your midbrain, right? And then that's if you are not activating yourself, if you're not operating from real awareness, not the awareness that's famous on social media, like really facing yourself, like instead of putting a blame on everybody else, like that person did this person did this, they shouldn't have done that, they shouldn't have done that. When you take full responsibility, you're like, I'm going to heal this for myself. I'm going to not rely on other people or feel so out of control and be in that victim mindset. You have to start operating from the front part of your brain, which is where you're actually observing yourself having, like, throwing a tantrum. Like, I have that, right? Like today morning, I woke up, I was in this whole thing. I snapped at I snapped at my brother for absolutely no reason, and I was aware about it. I was like, oh my god, Aisha, you're having a moment. You're snapping. You're having a moment. You are throwing a tantrum. Like, I was aware. Like, I wasn't absorbed in that emotion. Like, I know as a human, it's not easy for us to be like, I'm going to be a good person, I'm always going to be happy, and like, that's not possible, right? So you will have moments like that, but then I want you to have them from the observer's effect, which is like, okay, fine, I am having this negative emotion, I am feeling embarrassment, I am feeling jealousy, I am feeling guilt, I am feeling shame, I'm feeling insecure, but I'm seeing myself experiencing this emotion. So you're less reactive. So you're not like, the moment something happens, you're not just like throwing your stuff on everybody else and being angry and being snappy and continuing down that spiral. The moment you observe yourself, you will have your moment, you'll go sit in a quiet room and you'll observe yourself even further. Like, what is happening, Aisha? Like, why did you snap that way? What triggered you? When did it start? Right? And then you regulate yourself, right? And you bring yourself to that neutral state. And then you go do something that you enjoy. That's one of the best ways to raise your frequency. You go do something you enjoy. I usually like to have something sweet, or I like to just throw some like real loud music and I dance to that music. Or I'll go and like play with my kids for some time. I go out for some time. Anything that will immediately get me into a better state, right? So I will do that, right? So the first thing we discussed was understanding that you go into that powerlessness, that fear, that guilt, that shame, that feeling unworthy to be able to run your business. That is very neutral. Like, that is very natural for you to happen. You're experiencing that because you're also open to joy and abundance and exhilaration and feeling all of those big emotions as well, positive and excited and joy and all of those things as well. So firstly, you take out the guilt from feeling that way. Secondly, use those triggers, use your everyday emotions and use them as a way to get back to your higher frequency, right? Like, anything that you want to have more clients, you want to have more money, you want to have a better relationship, you want anything, it'll come from higher frequency, right? If you're in neutral or you're in a negative emotional spiral, downward spiral, you will attract more opportunities, you will attract more of the same thing. Because as I said, you'll keep going down in the momentum. You will keep going down unless you stop and you snap out of it, right? So your job is to look at these triggers that happen. Maybe someone triggered you when you were scrolling and you saw someone and you were like, oh my god, like, why is my business not doing so well? Or why did that person not sign up with me? What does that mean about me? Right? Am I not good enough? Is this not, like, what should I be doing? And then you go into this convincing energy, or you go into this desperate energy of like, what do I do? I used to have that. I used to be like, oh my god, what can I do right now? Like, I used to get so obsessed. Like, even after creating a post, I used to be like, oh my god, like, I should do more. Like, I should do something else. What do I do now? Like, do I interact with like 30 people? Do I like engage with a bunch of people? Do I like go message everyone? Do I send emails? And I would be in that obsessive energy of like forcing it to work. But I was coming from the state of not feeling worthy. Like, catch yourself in these behaviors. That's when you know your mindset work is actually working. When you're actively integrating those things that you do in your mindset, in your journaling, in your meditation, into your day-to-day behaviors. Like, I was that person. Like I was literally that person who'd be like, I would go meditate for 1 hour or something. Meditate, journal, breath work, all of those things. And immediately, the moment I got out of the meditation, I would again be in that same loop of like, things don't work out for me, I'm so unlucky, why is it not clicking, what am I missing, what do I do more, do I start a new account, do I launch a new offer. Do I need a freebie? I would see someone start doing something and I'd be like, oh, I should have that. I should start doing that because it's working for her. I should do that. I should be working hard, right? Like I would live the whole day in that until my next day morning routine. I would clear it up and then go again and again be like that. Right? Like if you're not integrating those things in your behaviors, catching yourself in these moments, catching yourself in behaviors and be like, oh my God, like sometimes I have that. I get my pen and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this masterclass. It's going to help me like attract so many people and like my business is going to blow up and I'm in that thing. And then I catch myself. Is this coming from a place of like trying to prove to myself, or is this coming from a place of like desire? Like I want to talk about this. I want to do this. Or is it coming from a place of like, my God, like if I do this, I will have more clients. If I do this, I'll have more likes. I will have like more people on my page. I will have bigger business. Then I will be able to flex about it in front of my family and like all of those things. Like clarifying your intentions in that way is like such a game changer. And especially when I work with my like clients in Voxer, we do a lot of this work, right? So I have them get aware about these things and then we actively integrate it through like really, I'm not even saying mindfulness practices, but these are like such practical things, right? Like how we integrate these things into your business strategy, right? Like how do we integrate these things into your sales strategy? How do we integrate that ease and that flow and that high vibe frequency into your day-to-day content creation process, right? Like that's when change will happen. That's when your business will start feeling light. You're elevating not only your frequency, but also the business that you want to have, the life that you want to have, right? And yeah, and as your consciousness will expand more, like the more you start operating from your like prefrontal cortex and you're becoming more aware about yourself. You're like, oh my God, like why am I behaving like I'm 8-year-old? Right? Like, why am I reacting this way? It had nothing to do with me, right? The more you start doing it, the more your consciousness will expand. The more you'll be able to, like, literally, I've had things in situations wherein I've spent like almost 2 months trying to promote and market a business, trying to promote a market and offer that didn't do well. But then I had like a moment of deep consciousness wherein I was like, oh my God, like this is what I want to be doing. This is the right next step for me. And I created like 2 posts on it and like that program sold out. I had that. I was like, oh my God, this mini course that I've been thinking about, yeah, that seems like what I want to be doing. Right? And that like I just announced on my stories and I had like that same day I had $2,000 like out of the blue. That's when, like when people talk about less effort and more money, that's what they're talking about. They elevate their level of consciousness to the point that they're able to attract these things more naturally. They're able to get more powerful intuitive ideas which will get you closer to what you want in the 18th, like 1/18th effort that it would take a normal person to get there. Literally. Like when I truly internalized this, and then it stopped triggering me. Like I would have people like in my feed be like, work less, do more, stop doing more, do less. It would just trigger me. I'd be like, oh my God, like these people are speaking from such privileged places. Like they have billions and they have like such huge accounts and it's easy for them to say that. It wasn't easy for them to say that. They were actually telling us the truth. It's because they were operating so much from their consciousness. They were open to the ideas and opportunities and like content ideas and business ideas and directions and being so intuitive that they knew that this one thing is going to create that domino effect rather than me like going live or creating like a 5-day masterclass and like posting every day, creating 17-step funnel or doing all of these random things to get to the same result. Sometimes not even get to the same result, right? The second thing the third thing that I also wrote down that I want to talk really about, apart from like, I know this is I'm kind of afraid about talking about this because I feel it can be taken in so many different ways. So I'm not about like protecting your energy to the point that you don't interact with others, or you start avoiding people, or you just like seclude yourself from the world, stay by yourself, don't let any other people infiltrate your energy space, and like all of these things. Like, I'm not about that. I'm a huge people person. I love spending time engaging with other humans. That's like my whole thing. So I don't like the concept of like like pushing yourself away from everyone, right, and only engaging with people who elevate your frequency and all that. I believe that you gotta have like standard for yourself, to the point which is like, for me, something that I have standard is, I could be talking to someone, right, and I could be the fullest expression of myself, and even if they have an opinion that goes 100% against me, they're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. We're both adults, right? Like, they have the opportunity to either think about it this way or not, or like, it's just about me giving myself the permission slip to be myself and let people be wrong about me. Just think about how empowering that is, compared to like, removing yourself from all circles and be isolating yourself and all those things. So my real question to you is, do you have the courage to let people be wrong about you? Right? Like, be okay with it. Like, it's part of my vision. It's part of my mission to offend a certain people. It's part of my mission to let people be wrong about me. It's like, sometimes I have these big money conversations with like my friends circle and stuff, and they have this weird faces and everything, and I'm like, it's either an opportunity for them to elevate themselves and start thinking this way, or it's just an opportunity for them to just be like, Aisha's just gone crazy or something, and I'm okay with that. And trust me, it took time for me to be okay with that, but I just realized that for the mission that I want, for the things that the life I want to create, this is like, it's part of my mission to piss some people off. It's part of my mission to let people be wrong about me. Like, before, the old Aisha would be like, oh my god, like, how can someone be that? Let me go and over explain. I still get into that pattern sometimes where I'm over explaining. I am just like understand me, I'm making sense, and I would go about this, and I would see them not being interested, I would see them losing interest, but like, that my need to be liked, my need to be, what's like that it was so strong. Like, I had no control. I was operating from my midbrain. I was operating from like, if I'm not liked, if I'm misunderstood, then I'll be alone, I will lose connection, no one will like me, no one will love me. Like, I would always go back to that, right? So ask yourself, like, where am I operating from? You got to always make sure that even if you're having those moments, you are observing yourself having those moments. Like, how empowering is that when you have the power to regulate yourself in that manner? And the more you operate from your prefrontal cortex, the more you are living in that, having that observer effect, and be like, okay, fine, Aisha, you're throwing a tantrum. Aisha, you're having a moment. Aisha, you're snapping. Aisha, like, why is this triggering you? When the more you live from that, you're naturally elevating your frequency. You're coming from a place of awareness. You're telling yourself that this me who is having this tantrum, this me who is like feeling shame, feeling guilt, feeling unworthiness, feeling powerlessness, that's not me. That's not me. Like, I am this, which we all are. We all are. we all are souls, right? Like, watching yourself from that perspective and be like, I'm just having this moment. I just need to let this emotion go through me, and then you come out of it and be like, that's it, I'm done, right? And then you don't carry that in energy for like days and weeks, and like, sometimes it takes me like 3 to 4 days sometimes, and then I have to still be in that observer effect and still remind myself that I'm just having a moment. This means nothing. I don't need to make this mean about anything about my business. I don't need to make this mean anything about who I am as a mother, who I am as a wife, who I am as a daughter. This means nothing. You're just experiencing that emotion by completely being detached from it, right? Like, these are some very practical things that we discussed today, or all around, like, how do you regulate yourself in these moments? How do you elevate your frequency? Like, I know these words, as I said, they get like super woo woo and you're just like, this makes no sense, but it's as simple as that. It's as simple as you living from a place of conscious awareness. You're living from a place of like really seeing yourself. Because I feel, and literally for all of this can't happen like this. I thought it would happen like that for me. It wouldn't. You have to change the way you see yourself. Your self concept has to really change. You have to, like, I used to see myself as this misunderstood, mistreated, misfit, like no one gets me, I am the odd one out, nothing works for me, in that constant victim mindset, right? And naturally things happen to prove me right. So when you're even like, when you're having those moments, when you're seeing yourself, you're like, oh my god, this is the image that I have of myself, and then you shift it to like, I am, like, everything that I've been doing up until this point in my life was meant for this reason. Like, when you find it lands for you and you're like, everything that happened for this reason. Like, this is the reason I was being guided. Like, I am guided every step of the way. When you see yourself living through it, right? And that just changes you. That's when you realize that you are being divinely guided. Like, Allah sees you. Allah has designed this life for you. Allah wants this for you. When you truly feel that here, like, it will change you. It will change the way you look at yourself. Like, dieting becomes easy. Like, eating healthy becomes easy. Working out becomes easy. Being consistent with your business becomes easy. Everything in your life becomes easy because you realize that you're here for this mission. You're living your life based on this. You're not just a random thing, a random bag of chemicals just floating around in the universe. This is the reason that you were born for. Like, everything just becomes that way. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even when I'm doing these lives, I have a few points written down, but I'm literally channeling. Sometimes I have had moments where it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, like, I just prayed for this. I'm just like, oh my god, like, how can that even happen? How can that answer come through this way? And I'm just like, it blows my mind every time something like this happens. That's when I know that, oh my god, like, I am a vessel. Like, I'm here to share this wisdom. I'm here for a bigger purpose. And when you change that self-image of yourself and you start looking yourself differently, and like, of course, I pray that everyone's able to do this on their own, but it's very hard to come to that place of consciousness, to come to that place of elevating your self-concept. I wish it happens, but most often you will need someone to actually guide you through that. It's like a transition phase. It's like a whole thing. And sometimes it can happen in the matter of a second, right? And I have experienced that. Like, when I'm working with my clients and we do this shadow work, we do this identity shifting work, it shifts in matter of a second. And they'll be like, oh my god, Aisha, I have goosebumps. Like, they're flooding with ideas. They're flooding with new ways of doing their business. They have this elevated energy. Their videos start going viral on TikTok. Their program starts selling out without even them mentioning it. These things will happen because they have changed the way they see themselves. They've changed the way they operate, the energy they exude into this world. It has changed, and that's the reason they attract all of these things. I've had clients attract like financing for their business. I've had clients attract corporate speaking gigs in other countries. Literally. They have had opportunities and clients and money and success and directions come to them out of the blue. I had one of my clients message me and be like, you know what, Aisha? I was on the flight and I had this question and I like deeply was reflecting on it. And I had this, my ideal client, literally my ideal client, walk and sit down and tell me her problems. And that made me feel like, Aisha, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And when they have these moments, they are transformed, they're changed. They're no longer that person who identified with their previous identity. My God, like, it feels like magic. I'm getting emotional while I'm talking about this because this is like real work. And sometimes I feel so blessed that I get to do this. Like I'm part of their transformation process. Like I get to experience them in these moments of high, these moments of like experiencing extreme exhilaration, when they feel like, as I told you, like they feel like their feet is not on the ground. Like, my goodness. And when that happens, I'm just like, this life, this moments, everything, every trigger, every moment of self-doubt, it's all worth it. Every fear that I've had to go on live, every fear I've had to start talking about my offers, everything, every fear, every negative emotion that I've had, it's all worth it. Because when you truly start living from a place of consciousness, when you truly start living from a place of like, everything is happening for me, like Allah is actually guiding me through this, like you'll feel so much like in control of yourself. Because I feel for the longest time in my life, I felt like I had no anchor. I was running around people, I was running around opportunities, I was running around work, I was running around. I had absolutely no sense of peace. I was burnt out all of my previous businesses. And when it happened, when that identity shifted, when I felt like this, Aisha, this, like hold on to this, like this is what you want to be doing, this is what you're meant for, this is how everything up until this point in your life happened so that you would get to this point. Like I was just like, yes, I did that soft skills training certification so that now I'll be able to help my clients with their sales skills, right? Like I did that graduation course, which was, I used to always be conflicted. I didn't get that TV host job because I was meant to do this. My life has been lined up this way, and I wanted more space. I wanted more like time and spaciousness. That's exactly why you got married this way, you had kids early on, you had all these things, because you had to live through this mission. Like when you truly internalize that, oh my goodness. And the more women I help empower and get them in touch with this and help them use the right kind of a masculine structure for their business that supports them, strategies around content, strategies around sales, strategies around selling, the more I am 100% solid and be like, this, Aisha, this is what we're doing. Like everything was for this. That's it. I no longer go into those spirals of like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Is this the right thing for me? I don't go to that anymore. I'm so. And when I say a lot of the things that I spoke about in the on my stories, it was around this. It was like, how do you tap into that big money energy? It's by living in that frequency of like, of course, when I am born for this mission, I am born to create this impact. When I am born to be this vessel for change, to be this vessel for the wisdom and the guidance and the work that I'm meant to be doing here, I will be given the sources, I will be given resources, I will be getting the support I need, I will get the money, I will get the masculine structure, I will get everything I need for that mission. It's inevitable. So the money, the success, the wealth, the opportunities, the collaborations, the brand deals, the support, the employees, anything that you need will automatically come to you because you realize that you're here for that big mission. You're not here to play around. You're not here to make an extra quick buck. You're not here to sign a client here and there. You're not here to just be in this online space for like a few seconds and then you disappear. You're here because you were meant to be here. And when you tap into that money energy, it just unlocks. Right? Like I know for 100% for a fact. In fact, I was talking about this with a client and I was like, you know what? I don't care when it happens. I know the mission that I'm here for, or everything that I know is already happening. It's happened in that future divine timing. Like we know this as Muslims. Like everything is written. Allah has written it for me because I've realized what I was put on this earth for. What was my mission? Walaikum Salam says, how are you? Oh my god, like every time I see you anywhere, I get so excited because I feel like our vibe is so similar. So yeah, like we were talking about all these things, and I don't know, I want to keep talking. I don't feel like ending this live. I know we got a little bit emotional in the middle, but I can't stress this enough. When you change the way you look at yourself, when you change the story that you have in your mind for yourself, like for me, as I said, the big story was I'm misunderstood, I'm a misfit, no one gets me, I have been mistreated, nothing good ever happens for me, I'm unlucky. The more you live in that, the more that'll keep happening. The more you'll attract opportunities to prove you right? So again, I would stress this and like really encourage you to like change the way you see yourself, find the tools and the guidance to do that. And if you're like, Aisha, you know what, like I want to do this with you, I feel you, like that's the energy that I want to have. I really want to, I hate to use the word quantum leap to the version I want, but that's how it works. Like that's how it has happened for my clients. In a matter of days, they have changed the way they see themselves. And I'm not going to shy away from saying this. It is going to be literally life changing. Like when you work with me, I'm going to take you to that place. Of course, with Allah's guidance, with Allah's wisdom and all of those things. And that thing will happen. I've had people tell me, Aisha, but you know what? Like I'm so afraid of this. Like this won't happen. They were like, Aisha, you know what? I have this idea. Can you like not say this? Like I was just like, whoa, girl. Like let me sit back. You take up energy. Like they became those people. And literally, I think a lot of my clients, when they start taking up space and they realize their big mission, they're like, I'm here for big things. They start attracting, as I said, like crazy opportunities. Like being interviewed for their for TV shows, getting corporate speaking gigs for in other countries, getting government funding for their business. Like I can't even. That's all available to you. Like if you have lasted this long in the life, that's available to you, girl. Like there's this beautiful thing I read recently, which was your deepest desires are literally. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. Your deepest desires are literally you remembering your future. I know like we're not at that place in this physical world to be like your future has already been created, but we know this as Muslims, right? Like our future is already written. Your deepest desires, your big visions, as long as they are coming from a place of love, forgiveness, gratitude, and you are wanting to do good in this world, all of those desires are literally you remembering your future. Like how powerful is that? Oh my God, I need to stop talking because I know that I'm gonna this whole topic, this whole thing about identity shifting, like it gets me. Like I'm telling you, I can continue talking for the next 8 hours. That's how much this is for me. But anyway, Assalamu alaikum sis, how are you? Farhat, I hope you're doing well. Oh my God, like why do I get these random requests to join the live? But anyway, I had such a fun time with you guys, and I was kind of skeptical, like should I go live today or not, because I was kind of not feeling it. But the moment I started, oh my God, we caught on. It's fine. And I wish you all the love, all the success, all the abundance, and inshallah, see you next week.